good evening. How's the Josh? Welcome to Supergrad Scat from Top Rankers. We have brought the previous year question paper solving series for you. And in this series, I'm going to take up slot 2, year 2023. Yes, last year's Scat paper, slot 2, the most doable passage. So, if you have gone through all those questions, you might have yourself come to know that this was a simple enough slot, and we'll be taking up one passage today. So, let's take it further. You have all these passages now with different concepts, with different domains, I must say, with different topics. And now the passage, which was the simplest and which is the in thing, so to say. CAT never fails to give those things, those issues which are of our concern. So this is a passage related to environmental concerns. Let us have a proper reading. So I step aside, I give you a minute, you read the first slide, and then I'll show you the questions, and then we'll take up the passage in detail. The next slide. Let's have a look at the questions. The next, the third, the fourth. Let's go back to the passage in detail. The second-hand September campaign, led by Oxfam, seeks to encourage shopping at local organizations and charities as alternatives to fast fashion brands such as Primark and Boohoo in the name of saving our planet. In the name of saving our planet. As innocent as mindless scrolling through online shops may seem, such consumers are unintentionally or perhaps even knowingly contributing to an industry that uses more energy than aviation. So, the passage begins with the first paragraph, which talks about the second-hand September campaign. And what is this campaign? What does it mean? It seeks to encourage shopping at local organizations and charities. So this campaign, it wants the people to do their shopping at local organizations and charities, just opposed to the brands, fashion brands, as an alternatives to fashion brands such as Primark and Boohoo in the name of saving our planet. You can note the sarcastic tone of the author here. He has put a question, so to say, because this in the name of saving our planet, ke naam par, right? So this gives a note, a tone of sarcasm. As innocent as mindless scrolling through online shops. Scrolling, just mindlessly going through the online shops may seem, such consumers are unintentionally or perhaps even knowingly contributing to an industry that uses more energy than aviation. Now, the second paragraph, Brits buy more garments than any other country in Europe, the people of Britain. So it comes as no shock that many of these clothes end up in UK landfills each year. Landfills, the discarded items which are thrown at a place, that is called a landfill. They are burnt over there, maybe, and it gives rise to environmental concerns. Three lakh tons of them to be exact. This waste of clothing is destructive to our planet, releasing greenhouse gases as clothes are burnt, as well as bleeding toxins and dyes into the surrounding soil and water. Bleeding toxins means the toxins, the poisonous substances which are present in these clothes, and the dyes, the resins, the chemicals, they get inside. Bleeding here means get inside. Just as you wash a particular piece of clothing, और जब उसका रंग निकलता है, so at that time you say that it has bled color, means the color has come out of that cloth. So what does it bleed? It does not bleed color, but these clothes bleed toxins and dyes into the surrounding soil and water. As ecologist Chelsea Rochman bluntly put it, the mismanagement of our waste has even come back to haunt us on our dinner plate. So, soil and water related to farming, related to the products which are edible, which we eat, on which our life subsists, thrives. So this paragraph gives us more information about the clothes which are wasted and what happens. The statistical figure is alarming. This we can understand here. Third paragraph. It's not surprising then that people are scrambling for a solution. So the people, they want a solution because nowadays the people have started understanding the importance of environmental concerns. So they are hurriedly looking for something. Scrambling means in a state of hurry worry, or you can say in a state of uh, confusion. They want to find out some solutions to this problem, the most common of which is second-hand shopping. So now you find this term relates with the first paragraph, wherein the author had introduced the term the second-hand September campaign. So what they do is they take recourse in second-hand shopping. Retailers selling consigned clothing are currently expanding at rapid rate. If everyone bought just one used item in a year, it would save 449 million pounds of waste, equivalent to the weight of 1 million polar bears. Look at the shocking statistical figures. Thrifting has increasingly become a trendy practice. London is home to many second-hand, or more commonly coined, vintage shops across the city from Bayswater to Brixton. So London is a home to many second-hand shops. Second-hand, the used clothing, especially those vintage shops. Vintage means which is classic and appealing, something which is classic and appealing, and the used items are being sold over there, especially the clothings. And what is thrifting? Thrifting is to be spending less, or you can say being frugal. And here it means using that particular piece of clothing again and again. Thrifting, this term is using minimum of something. Generally, this means this relates to money, but here it means using clothes. You might have heard of thrift shops as well, where the clothings are sold at what price? Means, I mean to say, they are used clothing pieces and they are taken by customers who think about environmental concerns, who want to make their contribution in environmental concerns. To address these environmental concerns, there are some, you can say, broad-minded or enlightened citizens of this world who want to give their contribution in that. Having said this, we'll move to the next paragraph, which comes as an eye opener. Yes, this fourth paragraph comes as an eye opener. Let's see how. So, you are cool and you care about the planet. You are cool and you care about the planet. You have killed two birds with one stone. Ek panth do kaj in Hindi, you must have heard. You have killed two birds with one stone. But now here comes the transition. Very important. But do people simply purchase a second-hand item, flash it on Instagram with hashtag vintage and call it a day without considering whether what they are doing is actually effective? This is the concern. What they are doing. Remember the first paragraph, in the name of. Now here. So it connects very well here that they buy a second hand item. Maybe they take a picture and they post that picture on Instagram and they want their name to be enlisted among those who are concerned about the environment without considering whether what they are doing is actually effective. Is it actually helping in the planet conservation? That's the question. According to a study commissioned by Patagonia, for instance, older clothes shed more microfibers. This is an eye opener. I wanted you to pay attention to that. The older clothes, we are talking about the thrift stores where the old used clothes are being sold, and actually, these older clothes shed more microfibers. These can end up, these means the microfibers can end up in our rivers and seas after just one wash due to the worn material, thus contributing to microfiber pollution. To break it down, the amount of microfibers released by laundering means washing 1 lakh fleece jackets is equivalent to as many as 11,900 plastic grocery bags, and up to 40% of that ends up in our oceans. So, in the paragraph before this, we spoke about soil and water in the previous slide, where they come to our plate, they enter our system into our constitution. Okay, so where does this leave second-hand consumers? So now the big question arises in front of the second-hand consumers. They would be well advised to buy high quality items that shed less and last longer. So the microfibers shed by these high quality items, of course, new, are less and they last longer, means they are more long lasting, more durable, as this fights both microfiber pollution and excess garments ending up in landfills. We talked about Ek Panth Do Kaj. So here, so this is the advice which is being given to the people who are actually worried about the conservation of the planet. What they should be doing is, this is the point of view of the author. I hope you have underlined this idea. This also amounts to the central idea. What kind of clothes should be bought by the purchasers, by the consumers, by the people, actually, especially by those who are concerned about the environmental conservation. So, going for the new clothes, not for the thrift stores. And what happens? High quality items, because of their two benefits, they shed less microfibers and they last longer. So it fights microfiber pollution and excess garments ending up in landfills. So this is the way this problem can be tackled. This is the view of the author. Last paragraph. Luxury brands would rather. Now there is another side to the picture. Commercialization. We'll talk about this in this last paragraph. Luxury brands would rather not circulate their latest season stock around the globe to be sold at a cheaper price. Now, okay, so far so good. We spoke about the planet, we spoke about the normal kind of people who want to make their contribution. But then what about the business point of view? What about these big brands? What is their take on this matter? They would not like to circulate their latest season stock. Latest season means their fresh arrivals, so to say, around the globe to be sold at a cheaper price, which is why companies like Thread UP, a US fashion resale marketplace, have not yet caught on in the UK. These companies have not picked on. There will always be a market for consignment. Consignment means something to be given in custody, consigned. But there is also a whole generation of people, but very important point, there is also a whole generation of people who have been taught that only buying new products is the norm, that only the new products should be purchased. They have been fed on this idea. So they would not go for the old products, they would be buying only the new products. And that is why the reason companies like Thread, UP, these or you can say ThreadUp. Maybe it is ThreadUp. So this company has not yet caught on in the UK. It has not caught the fancy of the people yet. And the reason behind is that there are people who want that the new products should be purchased and not the old ones. Second-hand luxury goods are not in their psyche. They don't feel, they don't have an idea about second-hand luxury goods. Ben Whitaker, director at liquidation firm Stock, told prospect that unless recycling becomes cost effective, recycling means reusing. Reusing becomes cost effective and filters into mass production with the right technology to partner it. High-end retailers would rather put brand before sustainability. So this is their understanding. This is their bottom idea. Unless something substantial is done in terms of technology and the recycling becomes cost effective, till that time, the high end retailers, those who are high brands, top notch brands, they would rather put their business before the issues of or the concerns of sustainability. So, this we have clearly understood that the author has compared right from the beginning and contrasted the direct buying of the new items, the new clothes, and which is vice versa, or you can say versus the old clothes item, second hand, the campaign, or you can say the first term of the first paragraph is started with. And what is the central idea? The central idea is what kind of clothes should be bought, should be purchased by the customers. Having all this discussion done, we have arrived at these two important things. The first is that if they buy the if they buy the new clothes, then they are more long lasting and they shed less microfibers in the soil and in the water and of course landfills. So this is where, and of course a comparison has been made. This is a very easily understood kind of a passage and we'll move to the questions. The first question, based on the passage, we can infer that the opposite of fast fashion, slow fashion, would most likely refer to clothes that. So, what is slow fashion? Maybe it is costly, but it is more long lasting as opposed to fast fashion. It is more long lasting. And of course, the clothes are of high quality as well. So slow fashion is this as opposed to fast fashion. Fast fashion must be clothes come, you are using them, throwing them, filling up the landfills. Okay. And the high quality fashion means they are more of a classic charm. They are sort of evergreen kind of pieces and they are of high quality, so they last long and they can be used again and again by the same customer, of course. So, what is the inference? We can infer that the opposite of fast fashion means we can infer, let's break down into simpler components. We can infer that slow fashion would most likely refer to clothes that do not shed microfibers, are sold by genuine vintage stores, are of high quality and long lasting, do not bleed toxins and dyes. So here you clearly find that your answer option has to be C. These are of high quality and long lasting because they do not shed microfibers. Then they are not sold by vintage stores. The second hand items, if you recall that part of the discussion, the second hand items which are sold at vintage shops simply for their appeal and for the people to show on the Instagram the post that they will put along with the hashtag that we are doing our bit for the contribution. Then they do not bleed toxins and dyes as opposed to those clothes of fast fashion which give rise to microfibers and they give rise to all these toxic elements being flown into the riverbeds and into the oceans. We also saw that comparison of the fleece jackets, the washing of those, and along with the consequent results. Coming to the next question, according to the author, companies like ThreadUp have not caught on in the UK for all of the following reasons, except that. Now, this has a mention in the last paragraph we have seen already. The first option is the British don't buy second-hand clothing. Second, luxury brands do not like their product to be devalued. Devalued means where the value comes down. That has been discussed in the passage. Luxury brands want to maintain their brand image. This is nothing but the extension of this particular option. This is the extension. So these both go together only. They mean one and the same thing. Or you can say they are two parts of single reasoning. They are the two parts. Next, recycling is currently not financially attractive for luxury brands. This part has also been mentioned in the very last sentence of the passage that they don't go together because they are more concerned with the business proposition rather than the environmental concerns. The brands are more concerned with their business and not with environmental issues. Hence, we have to find out that option which has not been mentioned explicitly why the companies like ThreadUp have not caught on in the UK. So clearly the answer option is A. Next question, the act of thrifting as described in the passage can be considered ironic. Now, what is ironic? Ironic refers to some situation wherein you find a discrepancy. What has to be and what is in actuality the difference that is called ironical. जो होना चाहिए और जो है. Between these two, there's a wide gap that is called as ironic. So the author, the question says the act of thrifting, as described in the passage, can be considered ironic because it offers luxury clothing at cut rate prices. So are we concerned with this? That we are getting luxury clothes at cut rate prices? Is the author concerned with this? Second, has created environmental problems. This looks a very good option because of the two reasons. We'll come back to it just now. C is an anti-consumerist attitude. Anti-consumerist means it is against the attitude of the consumer. Is it this? Is not cost effective for retailers. Now, this is not the concern. This is not the concern of the author, whether it is cost effective for retailers or not. Judging this one is an anti-consumerist attitude. That is not the crux of the matter. We are not worried about that. Similarly, the A option goes out because he is saying it can be considered ironic because it offers luxury clothing at cut rate prices. That is not the sole concern. So we are left with option B. Now, this has to do with the central idea of the passage. The central idea of the passage talks about the thrifting stores, the seemingly environmentally conscious act of thrifting, which is understood to be a conscious act, which looks that yes, we are contributing towards the environment. We are doing our might. I mean, the consumers who believe that they are doing it, but then actually, which aims at reducing the waste, actually ends up making the environment even more deteriorated. Why? Because of two reasons. One is that we have discussed the old clothes are sent to landfills where they end up getting burned, and the other we have already discussed they are prone to shedding more microfibers, and hence they disturb the environment because the concern has been raised regarding the pollution and contamination of soil and water. So it is ironic because on the one hand we want the environmental deterioration to be mitigated, and on the other hand we find that it gives rise to this. So this is a crucial question targeting at the main author's idea. And that argument is related to this only, that it has indeed created more number of environmental problems rather than reducing them. So this is actually the crux of the matter. This is actually the central idea, what type of clothes to buy. Coming to the last question, the central idea of the passage would be undermine. Undermine is to weaken, is to reduce, is to make it less strong. So when can it be weakened? If let us examine the options. Customers bought all their clothes online. Two, second-hand stores sold only high-quality clothes. Three, Primark and Boohoo recycled their clothes for vintage stores. Then clothes were not thrown and burnt in landfills. So we see that this one, clothes were not thrown and burnt in landfills. This supports, because this has been mentioned in the passage, that the clothes are thrown and they are burnt in landfills. This is a point of concern which has been raised by the author by taking the examples of Come September campaign and thrift stores. Then Primark and Boohoo recycle their clothes for vintage stores. How does it matter? This is not related. How does it matter? The author doesn't seem to be worried about. Now, coming to option A, customers bought all their clothes online. So, this would support that, okay, if they are buying all their clothes online, then there is no question of whether they are going to the thrift stores or whether they are buying from the brands, right? From the high top-notch brands who are only thoughtful, who are only aimed at targeting high business propositions, or they making high profits. So, the second hand, this one, B option, second-hand stores sold only high quality clothes. So if the second-hand stores, if the so-called thrift stores were to sell only high quality clothes, then the argument of the author or the central idea of the passage would be weakened. So our answer option is B. So in this way, you find that this was the most doable passage last year, 2023 slot 2 passage. And I would also like to inform you, dear students, that Top Rankers has come up with this amazing solution. I mean to say, for the students who are practicing, who are preparing themselves for CAT, they should undergo these mocks. And you have these test series. And under this, you find the mocks from 2017 onwards. All the mocks of all the slots are available, all the questions, you can undergo these, and they are free. The most important thing is they are free. So this is the venture which our top rankers has undertaken only for the benefit of the student community. So do log in, do find out, and just share with us your experiences. And as I said, so these are the previous year papers. So if you want to take up the mocks and it is a previous year paper, then what can be better than that? I don't think there can be any other solution rather than targeting the previous year CAT papers. They actually give you the flavor of the questions. So you can go through these at your ease. You can attempt these. You have these. And I would request you to stay connected. We will be coming up some more questions in the coming days. Our frequency will increase as the CAT approaches. You will find that you will have more and more videos pertaining to the queries of the students all over. So do get in touch. Whatever comes to your mind, not only related to VRC, but other segments, other sections also, wherever you feel that you need some more clarification, some more dedicated videos, do share and drop in your comments, and also share these interesting and informative videos among the student community. Thank you. Keep learning, keep growing. God bless you.